American comedian, musician, writer, actor, activist, juggler, publisher. He has a podcast, Chopping It Up with Ngaio Bealum. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Hi.
I am so happy to have you on. Kim McAllister speaks very fondly of you, so thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you. She speaks very fondly of you too, even though she just called you Negative Nikki.
I can be at times, my friend. I can be when we're talking money and being, kind of scammed out of stuff, it kind of gets me all hot and bothered.
I totally understand.
Let people know, first off, who you are. Obviously I lost your email address. Okay. So Kim McAllister tells me yesterday, she's like, he's a comedian. He talks about cannabis. And I'm like, I can't find his email. And when I finally saw it, and I'm not going to give out your email right now, I was like, oh, well, that email address makes complete sense. And I probably
Ngaio 420 at whichever.
Whatever.
Yeah. You can send me an email. I don't care.
So tell us about yourself. What do you do? I know that you've had podcasts, you write a lot. Give us a little background on you.
Sure. I'm an Aquarius.
I'm a Scorpio. Okay.
Oh, there you go. I get along well with Scorpios. It's weird.
Yeah.
Libra moon. Libra rising, Virgo moon.
Oh,
I date nerds. I've been a comedian and a cannabis activist for 20, 30 something years now. And I used to write for the San Francisco Chronicle, and I write for Leafly and High Times. And I had a show on Netflix called Cooking on High, which was like Chopped, but with weed.
I love it.
And I do a bunch of different stuff. And I just got back from Barcelona because I'm the MC for the International Cannabis Business Conference series. We're going to be in Berlin in June.
That's awesome.
Spain?
What's that?
How was Spain?
Oh, I love Barcelona. Every time I go, I want to stay. And
every time he goes, I've never been once, but okay. Every time
I know.
He goes, okay,
I'm very fortunate. Listen, dedicate your life to weed for 30 years and see how many different places you get to go.
I did. I thought, no, I'm just kidding.
Dedicating your life to smoking weed is different than dedicating your life to being a weed activist.
It's the small things.
For the longest time, it was a negative thing. Oh, they were always like, oh, well, all you do is talk about weed and you're just a big pothead and this and that. And it cost me gigs. And now weed's legal. And they're like, well, you're kind of old. We need a young pothead.
Boo, boo. I was looking at all the things that you've done, all your screen credits, and I was shocked to find out you were in the movie 9 Months.
Yes, with Jeff Goldblum, whose head is gigantic.
What did you do in that movie?
Was that with
Sean
Hugh Grant?
#1.
Okay.
Was that Hugh Grant? Who else was
Hugh Grant, Julianne Moore.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum, Tom Arnold.
Well, now I'm gonna have to watch it just to
Joan
see.
Cusack. I'm in it for a good 10 seconds.
How far into the movie do I have to watch before I see your face?
When they're having lunch, just before she announces, before Joan Cusack announces that she's got another baby on the way.
Okay.
So probably 25 minutes into it, I think.
Okay.
I show up. Yeah. Yeah. That was the easiest audition I ever went to. We sat in the room. Chris Columbus, the director, walked in. He looked at everybody. And he said, okay, thank you. And then he left. And then 20 minutes later, they're like, hey, you got the part.
Awesome.
Done.
Right?
Yeah.
Bang. I thought Hollywood was going to be like that for the rest of my life. Turns out it's not always that simple.
So you write a lot about cannabis. Obviously, you went to Barcelona. What do you think about the cannabis culture and the cannabis acceptance, I guess, that's going on? Have we really, truly made any progress here? Or is it really privileged on who gets to benefit and who doesn't get a benefit from the
first of all, the first basic big benefit is when you smell like weed and you're standing in the Starbucks because you need a coffee and the cops walk in, it's not a problem.
Right. That's true. I smell it all the time.
I was in downtown Sacramento smoking a joint on the corner waiting for the bus, and 3 sheriff's officers walked by, and this is what happened. They went, hey, what's up? And I was like, hey, what's up? And that was it.
There you go. That's huge.
Right?
That's huge.
That's huge. It does wonders for the blood pressure.
So does the weed.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So does the weed. Exactly. Unless you're on the sativas, that's different. But so for that part, for keeping people out of jail, for keeping cops from bothering minorities and people over bullshit. Can we say bullshit?
You just did.
Weed things. It's great. Now, when it comes to the commercial regulations, the problems that we're having Especially in California, I think
Yeah.
it's the lobbyists and the money, right? So cannabis has always been one of the best decentralized business models in the world because nobody wanted to get too big, because if you got too big, then the feds would come get you. But now capitalism wants to capitalize. So you get all these companies and all these multi-state operators who think that they're going to have a monopoly, and they show up and they get all the rules changed to favor the big guys, but then they end up putting shitty weed. And also in California, it's still county by county. So there are a bunch of counties where you can't have a weed business. There's a bunch of counties where you can't have a cannabis business. And that's not helping anybody. That just creates more of a black market. And the taxes are high. So now you're paying high taxes for cannabis that's not as good as you can get on the black market.
Right.
And so they're kind of pricing themselves out and not making it easier. You're supposed to make it easier for people. And I tell these cats all the time, man, cannabis producers started out as outlaws. Nobody wanted to do a bunch of paperwork.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're making the barrier to entry ridiculous, you can still get $3,000 a pound in Atlanta. So
wow. Jeez. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
Listen, you got to drive it to Atlanta, so it's a lot of risk too. It's high risk, high reward. Not that I've ever done it.
But people will.
I fit a profile.
Yeah, especially when you're driving across the country, I'm sure.
Sure.
But yeah, and there's also the banking aspect of it. I mean, do you think the federal government is anywhere closer to making it legal on the national level?
Every year. Oh, the Safe Banking Act every year. Oh, they're going to pass. They put it in the budget every year. Who knows? That's me trying not to cuss. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I mean, when they say hope for the best, plan for the worst. So I remain optimistic that people will eventually get their shit together, but I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah, it's disappointing because, one, it's obviously draws crime. People get robbed. They can't start, their dispensaries.
It's cash money.
And obviously if it's a business, they should have the protections that other businesses have.
You think, because that's kind of my thing too, right? This whole legalization deal, if you think of the state as a gangster, we're supposed to be paying protection money to y'all. So now y'all have to protect us. That's what the taxes are for, right? We're giving you a cut of the weed game, right? Just like the state runs the numbers. Oh, I'm sorry, they do the lottery. They have the numbers racket, and they have the weed. They get a cut of the weed racket now. But the whole point of protection money is you're supposed to protect. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
What do you think right off the bat are some changes that you'd like to see to the cannabis industry in California that could make a big difference?
I would like to stop treating cannabis like cigarettes and start treating it more like wine or beer. I think we need micro weederees. I think we need more social consumption lounges, which we have a few, but they make it hard to have. I mean, there's a couple in LA, there's a couple in San Francisco. There's still not one in Sacramento. There's still not one in Modesto. You have to stop treating cannabis like yellow cake uranium or high grade plutonium and just start treating it like weed and realize that everybody who wants to get high is going to get high anyway. So you might as well make it easy and give them a spot and let them chill. Like, I just got back from Spain, man. There's umpteen different social clubs that you can join, and they're all private clubs, right? But they all have different vibes. One is like a co-working space. One is like a sports bar. One is like a bro's nest. There's all kind of different spots that you can go to and have good quality weed and sit and smoke and chill, have a snack, have a coffee, get some work done, right? And then go on with your day. And it's nice, and there's no problems. And it's fantastic for people. And what do tourists do when they come from out of town if you're not supposed to smoke in the street, right? You're not giving anybody a place to smoke. Yeah. So now you got tourists sneaking up your parks. Listen, I don't mind the smell of weed. Some people complain about it, but to me, it smells like safety and snacks, and probably some reggae music is going to happen, or some sort of jam band is going to happen at that point. And cities could do a lot worse than the smell like weed, because I've smelled some cities who could use some weed before. I don't know. Fresno in the summer could definitely stand to smell like weed.
Do you feel like overseas the attitude is way different than it is in America? You talk about internationally versus here. Weed
is still technically illegal in Spain. Portugal has done a pretty good job of making it a personal use option, so they won't really front you or throw you in jail for anything like that. Germany is just now looking into their legalization efforts, And so, but there's still a stigma. You're still fighting 80 years of propaganda from the United Nations, from everywhere, where, if you smoke weed, you might as well do heroin and eat babies. And which we all know is not true. And in fact, cannabis use does not lead to harder drug use. And studies show that a lot of people can use cannabis as opposed to like a gateway to harder drugs. I always want to call it a gateway drug. It's really like a pathway away from harder drugs. Right. So a lot of people who maybe used to do a little heroin, now they smoke a little more hash, which is better for you. You know what I mean? And it's most likely not laced with fentanyl. So I think people are starting to come around, and people are starting to figure out, especially as younger people get into office and start doing more things. And older people, the boomers who remember the weed from the 60s and 70s, are getting back into it because it helps them sleep and it's good for the aches and pains.
Yeah, and obviously
old stoners are always cuter than old drunks.
That's true. Yeah, you don't ever get that big red nose and all that other stuff that comes with it. But don't you think that also the difference between alcohol, because you were saying it should be kind of regulated like wine or what have you, it's the testing. A lot of people have concerns about, what if my doctor's under the influence? I could test your blood alcohol level for alcohol. Weed is a whole different beast because of how long it lingers in your system, even though you're not technically high anymore.
Yeah.
How do you answer? I mean, that's a valid concern. I don't want anybody, cut me open. If there's
Is it a valid concern?
Yeah, I would say that if somebody's pulled over and might be stoned, I'd want to know for sure if they're going to be charged for something.
What were they being pulled over for?
Driving too slow.
Yeah. What do they say? They say drunks will drive right through the stop sign. Stoners will wait for the stop sign to turn green. When they did some studies on using cannabis and driving, they found that cannabis users as a whole, if they felt that they were too high, didn't want to take the test. Right? So they'd get high and they'd be like, okay, man, it's time to do the driving test. And cats would be like, you know what? I'm not ready to do the driving test. I'm going to sit here for a minute. Matter of fact, if you got some coffee and some more snacks, I'll let you know when I'm ready. Right? Yeah. So it's all the studies that they found have found that people who are just stoned, and I'm going to talk about like people who got drunk and then smoked a joint or whatever, people who just use weed are generally very safe drivers. So I don't think it's as big of a problem or as big as a challenge as you might think.
Okay. What do you know anything about Delta 8 weed? We have a viewer that's asking about that. It's legal in Florida.
Sure.
Regular marijuana is not. What is Delta 8 weed? I don't know what this is.
Delta 8 THC. So the illegal form of THC, according to the DEA, is Delta 9 THC. That's your regular old fashioned weed. Okay. But if you move a few chemicals around, then you can come up with Delta 8 THC, which is technically not illegal, right? Oh. People love a loophole. I don't think it has the same high, but other people say it does have the same high. I can't speak on it. But I mean, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
So it's like not going to hurt.
Weed? Anybody get it? It's like sold at 7-Eleven or something like that? Or?
You can buy it at the 7-Eleven or from head shops and stuff, like with CBD, like your gas station CBD gummies or whatever. It's the same kind of deal. So it's not, I don't think it's necessarily bad for you, but it's not weed.
It's not weed. It's not like
it's not weed.
No,
yeah. It's not. And also, by the way, I'm gonna remind everybody: a high THC percentage does not necessarily mean that the weed is good, right? It's all about the terpenes and the flavor and the effects. And this is one of the challenges that we're having in a lot of places, because you go to the weed club now and it's like, oh, this is 30% THC or this is 25% THC. That just sounds like a panic attack, bro. How much? Where's the myrcene at? Where's what's the beta carotene? How much pinene? How much limonene does it have in it? What's the flavor like? What's the high like? How long is it going to last? These are the questions you want to ask. This is not about, we just want, shit, Everclear is 180 proof. Does it make it great? Do you just shoot Everclear? No, you want a nice glass of wine, right? Sometimes you want to smoke a whole joint while you watch the sunset. And 35% THC is not going to allow you to do that. So,
no. Not at all.
But
good advice right there.
The things I learned from Ngaio Bealum is super fun.
Ask me about sex next. Those are my two things.
Oh, okay.
I got 2 albums out. One is called Weed and Sex. The other one's called Weedier and Sexier. So
nice.
Find them wherever you get your comedy.
You're doing a podcast though too. You've done a couple. When I've been reading on you, but the latest one is chopping it up with Ngaio. Oh,
yes, we just finished the first season a few months ago.
Okay, what's that about?
It's exactly how it sounds. I just call my homies and we chop it up.
Nice. About anything, everything.
Anything and everything. I'm a rambler, right? My my mildly undiagnosed ADHD allows me to converse on a variety of topics. And all of my friends are very entertaining and we're all generally pretty smart. So we just start talking and we just start rambling and it just goes. And it's a very nice way to pass an hour.
Well, I put the link in the show notes if people want to try it out. I put the link in there. So,
thank you. And follow me on Patreon and
not TikTok though. TikTok's going away though. So
I've never had a TikTok. TikTok hates weed.
Oh, is that true?
It does. Oh my God, it does.
TikTok hates weed more than Instagram hates weed, and that's just wild because Instagram can't stand weed.
I'll tell you a story. I was just Googling cannabis, not even weed, cannabis on TikTok, preparing for like topics and stuff because I knew we were bringing you on. It won't let me search on TikTok for cannabis. It texts me to like learn more about the dangers of weed. So that's TikTok for you.
The trick is you have to spell it OUID.
Oh, OUID.
Yeah, it's like French.
Weed.
That's the hack.
That's funny.
That's the Gen Z hack for discussing cannabis on TikTok.
Speaking of your ability to converse on a variety of topics, have you been watching this whole Trump's going to get arrested today? It might happen tomorrow. It might happen. Now it's going to happen Monday. What are your thoughts on all this? Are you waiting for the perp walk or is that a bad idea? It
can't happen soon enough for me. But who knows when it's going to happen? And one of the challenges that they have, and is because he's not the only one who's dirty.
Oh, of course, right?
A lot of the GOP is dirty. A lot of them, and they love to lie. I mean, listen, politicians love to lie. In general, Democrats are also liars. Let's not get it twisted. Independents are also liars. Socialists are also liars. Politicians like to lie, but they're dirty about it. The GOP is deep into it. This inciting violence and all this other stuff. And so the problem is once you arrest them, you're going to have some problems, right? You're going to have some confrontations. We already learned that from January 6th. Right. And so people don't want to deal with it. And even though it's only 30% of the population, if you got a group of 10 people and you got to fight 3 of them, that's a drag, right? You might lose 2 homies. I mean, you're probably going to win. The odds are in your favor because it's 7-on-3. But, you know, you might end up with 5 people left. And so this is the challenge. And but there's no gentle way to do it. You have to stand up to bullies sometimes. And sometimes you have to be willing to take an ass whipping on principle or to fight a cat on principle. I wouldn't say I'm nonviolent, but I'm a peaceable person. But there comes a time when you got to let a Mickey Ficky know that enough is enough. And that's just how it is. And so this is the challenge. There's no politic way. There's no diplomatic way to deal with these guys because you give them an inch. What's the old Eddie Murphy? You give them a rope, you want to be a cowboy. So you can't really take it easy. You can't really take it easy on these guys. You got to go kind of hard. And it sucks. It sucks because nobody wants to be like that. Everybody, I'm a stoner, dog. I like to be peaceable, but sometimes you got to fight a dude, and that's just what it is. And as soon as when the Democrats get it together and figure it out, hopefully it won't be too late. But that's how it is. And it's the same kind of thing with Nazis. You can't be tolerant of Nazis and racists. It's the paradox of intolerance, right? It's the paradox of tolerance because once 1 or 2 of those guys, oh, well, that guy's cool. He's just a little racist. But now you got his racist homies are coming to the club too. And now you got a club full of racists and now you got to fight everybody. So it's just better to nip that shit in the bud. Punch them now so you don't have to shoot them later. That's what I like to say.
Absolutely. I agree.
Absolutely.
And Ngaio, when are you performing next? Where can people see you?
Hell if I know. I'm going to be, what have you heard? I'm going to be at the Crest Theater April 8th in Sacramento with Lance Woods. He's fantastic. I'm going to be in Santa Rosa for 420 at some casino whose name I can't remember right now.
Are you going, Kim? Are you going to go?
Is it the Great Rancheria?
Yes. I don't know. Look it up.
There's more
I will post it on my Instagram and my link tree. and my Patreon and stuff. It's actually, that's what on my list of administrative tasks today is to make a graphic for all my upcoming gigs and set it on my Instagram. NGAIO 420 on Instagram, because there are 419 other Ngaios.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's in my county. I'd come to see you.
You live in Santa Rosa?
No, but I live in Sonoma County. I'm in Petaluma down the road.
You, McAllister, you're going to go to his 420 performance. Is that what I just heard you say?
Well, why not?
Contact high.
I'm
also doing a show on 421 out there too.
I don't partake, but I love myself some Ngaio, so I'm
down. I think I might have to.
And not all my jokes are about weed, right? Some are about sex, and some are about particle physics. Some are about poetry and being a dad, and
I love that. I mean, when you have time in your busy schedule, I'd love to make you a regular on the Nikki Maduro show. People are loving you. I love having the conversations with you. So the door is always open.
Sign me up. Looks like we're doing every other Friday then, or whatever. I don't know what your schedule is like, but we'll come up with something. Kim will keep us in the loop.
Yeah, I would love that. I fully enjoyed the conversation. Again, Ngaio Bealum, his link to his podcast is in the show notes. So check him out and subscribe. Have a fabulous weekend. And thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you also very much, Kim. Always a pleasure. Nikki, it was very positive.
Yeah, I loved it.
I appreciate it. We'll talk to you.